Geocachomaniacs.
GeoGearHeads.
It's time for another randomized edition of the GeoGearHeads. This is the special show where we talk over a number of topics, many of them submitted by your fellow GeoGearHeads. I'm Daryl W4, but my regular co-host is out today, so filling his shoes is the Land Monkey.
Daryl, it is good to be back. I'm excited to dig into another awesome randomized episode. Looks like we're chock full of great random geocaching topics for your listeners. But I think we've got some business to attend to first. So let's share who won that FTF Geocacher magazine prize.
Yeah, I have to say I'm very impressed that you left the whole shoe pun on the table.
For now.
Okay. Well, we did have a number of entries for this one. Many took multiple tries to actually get the right answer, and we asked which year was the first CETO held, this first CETO event held. And what seems to have tripped up those submitting the wrong answers this time was that the first event was held a year before the first worldwide CETO.
Ah, that's tricky. Very tricky. So that confusion is understandable, but according to geocaching.com, the first CETO was held in 2002. And the winner of that FTF Geocacher magazine and path tag is Rattin Kids. Hey, I've got some Rattin Kids.
Oh, congrats, Ratson Kid. Oh, man, now I'm going to be having problems with everything, I guess. But congrats, Rat Kids, and please email me your mailing address so I can get that prize out to you. And I have to admit, I still haven't got those prizes out that I promised I was going to get out last week. So hopefully this week, and hopefully, Rattin Kids, you can get that into me soon enough that I can get yours in with the rest of those. But this is a randomized show, and we have a very special question this week, and it's in honor of Pi Day. And remember, this is the live question, so you can only get this question if you're watching live. And you have until 9:45 p.m. Eastern, that's 6:45 p.m. Pacific, on March 12th to get us your answer. So if you're watching us live, we want to know what the next digit, I should say, what is the next digit of pi after the 15? Because, well, this is 3, 15, or 3, 3, 14, 15, hence the very special Pi Day we have this year. So we want to know what the next digit of pi is after that 15. Email that to us with your geocaching.com screen name by that 9:45 p.m., 6:45 p.m. Pacific time, and you could get a prize from FTF Magazine, which is a 3-month trial subscription to FTF Geocacher Magazine. Thank you again for that prize, and remember, that's GeoGearHeads at Cachemaniacs.com with the subject Randomize 32. And for all of you guys watching live, it's all on the screen now, but that's going to go away pretty quick because we got to talk about Pi Day here.
We do have to talk about Pi Day, and thanks for explaining the what exactly you're looking for there, Daryl. And hey, folks were attentive. They actually saw the answer up there too, which is good. When I originally read the question you were asking, I thought, do you mean the 15th digit of pi or the 15? So now I understand.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot of effort to getting either one, but yeah, we want the next digit after the 15, because the 15, of course, is for 2015 this year.
Right. All right. Well, folks, in case you haven't heard us discussing it right now, this Saturday is Pi Day. Pi. And our good friends at geocaching.com have some tasty souvenirs baked up for you. Now, according to piday.org, because of course there is a website for Pi Day. Pi Day is celebrated March 14th, the third month and 14th day, around the world. And ironically, the world is not a true sphere. Pi, or the Greek letter pi, it's a symbol that's used in mathematics to represent a constant, the ratio of the circumference of a circle to its diameter.
Yeah, we should note that this
Go
is
ahead.
Pi Day is not a geocaching thing. This is a thing that's been going on for I can't even remember when it got started, but it's been a good decade since I first heard about Pi Day. And it's just a geek thing, as far as I know. The thing that I keep seeing though is every time I see the Greek pi now, I keep thinking of those stupid emoji and ASCII kind of things where people are flipping those stupid tables and that they use the pi as the tables.
I haven't seen that.
Oh yeah, that's been a big meme kind of thing, and I don't understand it, to be frank, but I see so much of it out there that that's what I think of. But yeah, geocaching is kind of taken to it. Really, I've only seen the events for like the last 3 years, but it's gotten really big, and especially with this being 3, 14, 15. And the sad thing is that only works in North America. Like no one else in the world really uses the date system,
Right?
month, day, year, which makes no sense at all.
Yeah, well, that has posed a number of challenges for different special dates and events that are only celebrated. Well, and interestingly enough, Daryl, speaking on behalf of Dave DeBear, myself, and all the rest of the Canadians, we technically actually do our dates the European way, but generally for business purposes, we're accustomed to doing the dates in the American format.
Oh, okay. See, and I've got a lot of exposure to Windsor, which is, frequently the Canadian Detroit, is what it's referred to. And I'm so just used to them publishing everything in, the month, day, year thing. But, I hate the day, month, year thing, too, because that doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah. The most logical is, because the way we say it is month, day, year, but...
Well, I want to go year, month, day, because that way it gets more specific, not starting at the most specific, Plus, that way when you try to sort it, it's going to sort into the right order.
There you go. There you go. So what we're talking about is 3 for the month, March, 1-4 for the day, 1-5 for the year, and if you folks remember off the start of the show, the next number is 9. You need to know that. All right, so why else do you need to know about Pi Day? You need to know about Pi Day because you, geocachers, love your souvenirs. And you can get 2 this Saturday. You can get the geocaching event, a Pi Day event souvenir. All you have to do is attend a CETO, Mega, or regular event on Pi Day. So any sort of event that you attend and log your attended. So there's a will attend when you're going to, and did attend. I don't know. Have attended.
Attended. I think they need to change it for the CETO, and this is going to be one of those rat hole shows, I think. But I think for the CETO, they need to change it to, like trash out or something like that. Picked
Clean.
up trash. Yeah. Well, no, that doesn't always work. You do have some of those where they're like restoring park lands and whatnot as the CETO. Yeah.
Done that.
Planted. So I don't know how that worked, but
we'll CETO and CETO'd.
Yeah, CETO'd, I think. We'll CETO and CETO'd.
All right. So that's the one souvenir you'll earn. So you go to any event, make sure you log that event for the day that you attended. You will automatically get a souvenir. The second souvenir, you got to do a little more work for this one. It celebrates the mystery of pi. So, in order to earn it, you have to log a found it on any mystery cache on March 14th. So
yeah, and it is important to note that these all have to be logged. Don't log them the next day as March 15th because you're not going to get that souvenir.
Then you will be sad.
Yeah. Very sad. And I don't know about you, Land Monkey, but I actually do have my mystery cache solved and sitting there, waiting to be found on Saturday. And unfortunately for most of our listeners, they're not going to get this till Saturday at the earliest, so this is going to be kind of a post thing. So maybe we should talk about how much we loved our souvenirs.
Oh, that is such an awesome souvenir I got this Pi Day.
Isn't it? It's so
Both of
cool.
them.
Well, you know what I
Yeah.
really like though are the coins and stuff this year, and coins and pins,
Ah,
or not coins and pins. Coins and pins did have one. They sold out of theirs, and Cash Advance had one that I really really liked this year, so I had to run out and order one, and they sent me one as well. So I've got the cool pie plate with the actual pie that goes into it, and I think this is just the coolest geocoin I've seen in ages because now I have my little pumpkin pie in its pie tin.
that is amazing. Yeah, I love those. I wasn't fast enough to put my order in, so us land monkeys don't get one this year, which is very sad. But
Ooh. Well, they had opened up ordering. I don't know if it's still going to be open by the time this hits the air, but if you got over there, you could back order it. It wasn't going to come in time, but they were going to do a second run of the Pi Day coins because they sold out in hours.
right, okay. Well, maybe the date I saw was the cutoff on the first one. I thought it was the cutoff on the second one, so maybe there's still a chance. So I'll have to do that right after the show.
Yeah,
But
we'll have to look into that.
we will. But yeah, so there's your souvenirs. And if you're really lucky and you have a great event host, maybe you'll have a chance to win one of those awesome coins Daryl just showed with us.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and there's some other coins that I've seen floating around. There's at least two other Pi Day coins that I've seen. So, and I know that a lot of the event hosts have gone and gotten some of those. Even the various mints have donated them. So you might get a Pi coin, and a lot of them are going to be for sale at the events. So don't despair. You can get one of your awesome trackables that way.
Excellent. All right. So I think that wraps up Pi Day. What do you think, Daryl?
I think that will wrap up Pi Day, especially because Pi Day is going to be gone. But I have to say I'm going to enjoy my pie on Pi Day because one of the local pie companies is going to be giving me free pie.
Wonderful.
Now, I think we
Nothing's
said
better
pie
than free
more
pie.
times in the last, like 10 minutes than we've said in the entire history of this show.
Excellent. Pie.
But let's move on to another trackable item, which Sim Rebel made us aware of. He wrote, "Hi Daryl, I was wondering if you could do a plug for our great Norfolk to Norfolk TB Race 2015. Races start May 3rd this year. We're having 6 races running at the same time and added Norfolk, Virginia as a start finish, as well as Norfolk, Ontario, and Norfolk, UK. There'll be a race from each of the locations to one of the other Norfolks. We are accepting TBs in the mail for all 3 locations. More details are available on the website." So, of course, we're going to include that website in the show notes. And this is another one that's using that TB Run website to take care of it. Yeah, I love these kind of things. I just haven't had the chance to really participate in one for a while. So I'm thinking maybe I'll get into this one this year. Have you really done many of these, Land Monkey?
I haven't had the chance to do one of these yet. They sound awesome. I've actually been brewing an idea of one that I thought would be kind of fun to do with the different podcast hosts around the world. But we can talk more on that as the idea germinates. But I would love to do something like this. I don't think I would have time to get Trackable out to the good folks to participate in that particular race. But that sounds like a lot of fun. And what a great idea. 3 races between the 3, or 6 races, I guess, back and forth between the 3 different Norfolks.
Well, I think it actually comes out to more than that. I think it might be like 9 races in all.
Oh, right, because you can go to the... Right, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, because it's 9 cubed, or right?
3 cubed, yeah.
Or yeah, 3 cubed rather. Yeah. So yeah. I looked at it briefly when he emailed me a couple of weeks ago, and I wish I would have pulled it up now to take a look at it again. But yeah, I think I'm going to try that.
Awesome. Well, keep us posted. Let us know how it goes. That sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah. Hopefully I'll get it out in time. I haven't gotten the prizes out to people yet. I'm starting to sound like a certain other podcast. So again, I apologize for that, and I hope to get all of that stuff out soon. I'm not even going to say this weekend this time because that didn't work last time. Now, on another note, though, this is actually my 10th year of podcasting as of March. So I had done a 10-year of podcasting path tag to commemorate it last year, actually. Our patrons actually got a chance at those earlier, and on Twitter and everything I was promising that I was going to have a way for all of our listeners to get them. And it is limited. There's not an unlimited supply of these path tags, but I want to have a bunch of path tags from our listeners to put in the nice little display case behind me so that it's filled with nothing but listener viewer path tags. So if you have a path tag that you'd like to trade, email me at DarrylW4, that's DARRYLW, and then the number 4 at cashemaniacs.com. And again, you can go to the show notes and get that information there. Title your email 10-year path tag trade with your mailing address, and let me know how many personal tags you'd like to trade. If you have more than one path tag, I'd love to have more than one path tag because I got a whole lot of holes up here to fill. But if you only want one, that's fine. But we'll do a one-for-one trade. But let me know how many you have because I don't have a whole lot of these things. Oh, and I should note that they have the cool GeoGearHeads path tag back. And if you're going to be doing a path tag, please consider doing that because it does help spread the word of the show. But yeah, if you're interested, email me and we'll set up the trade because I do want to fill up that tag. And I want to send this path tag out to anyone who's into path tag trading and listens to our shows.
What a great idea, Darryl. Now, I'm not a big path tag trader myself, but Mrs. Land Monkey and I did actually make some path tags. I'll show you our little Land Monkey logo path tag we've got. And I will for certain be emailing you and sending one out your way.
Awesome. My girlfriend's into monkeys too, so I'm not sure that I'll actually get to keep that path tag.
Then I better send you 2.
Yeah, I'll be more than happy to send you 2 for your 2.
Thanks, Darryl. All right. So speaking of monkeying around and paths, anybody who wants to get out and find more paths and monkey around on the trails, it's gotten a little bit easier because geocaching.com has officially publicly released the new search tool. So if you go to the geocaching the geocaching blog, they'll have I think the most current entry. I think it was just released yesterday, if I'm not mistaken, Darryl.
It was, yeah, and they actually did 2 different posts on it. One is a quick one, and then they started the FAQ. So both of those posts are going to be out there, and we'll link to each of them in the show notes so that you can go to whichever one you want.
Fantastic. So here's the deal, guys. If you have not had a chance to check out the new geocache search tool, now is the time. As we just said last night, the tool went live for the general public. As for the past few weeks, it's been in test mode, beta mode, whatever you want to call it. Sneak peek, I think, is what they were calling it. If from the geocaching.com site you click play and then find a cache, that used to bring you to kind of an awkward to use interface, but now it'll take you to a way more useful interface. They've even included 3 of what they call the most popular searches as giant icons right on that page. Those 3 are search for caches near your home coordinates, search for caches near your current location if you're traveling, and the third one is find the top rated caches in your region, which I'm assuming is based on favorite points. I haven't played with that one yet.
Yeah, that is based on the favorite points. And the thing that I find interesting about the current location is if you're on your desktop machine, it's doing, if you do have Wi-Fi, I think it's actually pulling the location from the Wi-Fi. But if you're doing just a non-geolocated machine, so like a hardwired machine with an IP address, it does it based on your IP address. So I'm thinking if you do like a VPN to your office, you're going to find the caches near your office, which could be really cool, especially if you're like going out to the headquarters to do some meetings or something. You can kind of pre-find real quick and easy the caches near that office so you can escape from those meetings and stay a little bit sane.
There you go, a sneaky trick. I like that. That's awesome, Darryl. An important point to note, though, is that most of the functionality in the new search tool does require premium membership. There's been some discussion about that in the blogs and other forums, but honestly, for $30 a year, you get a lot of value. And hey, it does cost these guys money to develop and maintain the tools and the software.
Yeah, agreed. I've always been an advocate of paying for geocaching.com. Granted, if you're not, especially for a lot of the smartphone users, they're not going to use things like the pocket queries or even, I know so many people who don't use a website, but if you don't pay for and support the tools that you're using, you have a good chance of those tools going away. Let's think like FeedBurner and Google Reader. FeedBurner hasn't been killed off, but it's just kind of sitting there in hiatus. We're all kind of waiting for that to disappear, and that makes me nervous because that's what we use for their podcast.
Yeah, it's a great tool. But again, great tools, if it doesn't have some sort of financial support from the user community, it's hard to justify keeping them.
Yeah. There's cost to anything. Even if it's just sitting there on the server, there's still server costs and stuff. So, that's why I like paying for things like Project GC. They're great tools. Support them so they can keep running.
Absolutely. So, in addition, on the topic of great tools, there's also been some enhancements to the Hide a Geocache launch page. The enhancements may be the wrong word because the pages in the tool, they have a completely different interface. Sorry, not the tool, the page. The launch page has a completely different interface. I haven't placed a cache or created an event since this very recent change, but I think GeoGearHeads would sure be interested in hearing from people on who may have used this in the last day or so and what they think about it. I really like the way that the new starting page is laid out. It makes sure that you have an opportunity to review the guidelines and recommendations before you get started. There's a very logical workflow. It's been evolving over time, and it's gotten pretty good. As I say, once you start the process of creating your cache or event, it appears that you're into the same tool they've had for the past year or so. But just to reemphasize, I really like the new landing or start page for cache and event creation. I think they've done a nice job there.
Yeah, I've been doing a couple of caches here and there, a couple of events, and played with it a little bit, but it's not for those of us who are more experienced. It's taking me a lot more time, and I'm actually making more mistakes with the new tool than with the older tool. And I haven't played with this latest iteration, but I'm hoping that it's more of like a wizard walkthrough that's going to make it a little bit easier to not miss something. But a lot of the time what I do is I just race through the tool now, get everything in, make sure it's marked as not ready, and then I'll go back and work on the final tweaks and make sure everything's in from the main cache page, the main edit page. Because that's something I'm more familiar with. It's all there in front of me. I can work with it at a more leisurely pace and do things in the orders I want to do. Because like a lot of the time, if you're working like on a puzzle cache, you have to go and really tweak that puzzle. So you're sitting there putting in some of this base information, and it gets to be a little obnoxious when all you're trying to do at first is get everything in formatted so that you can make sure it's going to work.
Yep. What I've found is it happened to me a year and a half, 2 years ago. It was before they made the more recent changes to the tool, and it timed out on me once. I was in the process of tweaking the description. I went away from it. I was going to do something else, came back. I mean, it was probably about half an hour, and the page had timed out, and I lost everything I had done to that point. So what I do now is my workflow is that I have a Google Doc that I really just make sure I've got everything in there. Or if I need images that I need to play with, I tweak them, play with them there. And then when it's time to build the cache, I can just go through as quickly as I can because now I'm paranoid about losing my work.
Yeah, definitely. Well, that's a good point. That's actually kind of what I was getting at about racing through, is because I want to have it all done before, so done and saved, so I have my GC number, I can get in there and make my tweaks. And we've talked about this on some of the other shows, using things like Evernote is one of my favorite to do all of my planning, and I'll copy and paste whole chunks of HTML into Evernote so that I can copy it out and paste it into the page. And I've had to go back and edit that a few times because something wasn't rendering right, or I had to make a change, and I was really happy I had that, because the editor over at geocaching.com has gone and munged my HTML. So it's a great thing to have that a backup regardless of how you do it. And we've talked with a number of people who just do them as folders in Dropbox with all of those assets. Create a text file that has your HTML in it. You have your images all saved in there as JPEGs or PNGs, whatever you want to do. And it's a great way to go. It's whatever you like. I love Google Docs. I use Google Docs all the time, and that's a perfect way to go. Just file it away that way.
Fantastic. So yeah, I think that's the news that we have from geocaching.com. So 2 new souvenirs and a couple new pages on the website to just really empower your geocaching experience this Pi Day. I said pie again.
Yes, you did. More pie. I'm gonna be so fat this year because I want pie so badly. All right, moving on to Cedar and Company, who emailed. I spent the last few months out in New Brunswick for a couple of geocaching related activities out there to get more people out caching during the winter months. Atlantic Battle Cache ran from December 1st of 2014 through February 28th of 2015, and used the letters in the GC codes from any cache you found during that time frame to generate shots on a battleship board. At the end of the contest, they actually placed the ships and drew winners from the people that filled the whole grid or sank the various ships. There was a closeout event in Truro. Did I actually get that right?
Truro, yep.
Okay, this last weekend, and that was GC5GZZ3. Sorry, that's ZZ3.
Thank you.
Sorry about that. And we'll include links to that, and he also has a link with more links at the bottom of the page, and we'll include that one as well. The other one is Come Out and Play from Cache Up NB, which does a game called Scrapple Cache. It's a similar idea. You use the letters in the GC codes to spell words. Spelling completes words that give you the points, and the points are used to determine winners in a draw again, I think. This one runs to the end of March. It's a great way to get people out caching in the winter, which was especially brutal this year. More than 12 feet of snowfall recorded so far. A lot of the Found It logs will often say something like, collecting vowels for Scrabble Cache. And you can check out the link in the show notes, but that one's actually cacheupnb.com for more information. And there was also an event to finish off the contest, GC5M1PN. These were both fun games to play and got us out for 232 so far, caches since December 1st. It was the first I'd heard of this sort of thing, and I thought I'd spread the word.
That's fantastic. Cedar and Company, thanks for sending that in. Man, comparing the winter we've had on the West Coast with the winter they've had on the East Coast of Canada and the U.S., it's just been, it's unbelievable. I mean, 12 feet of snow, you can basically just walk up the snowbanks to grab the hanging geocaches you normally need a ladder for the rest of the year.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's been a brutal year this time, but I've done I talked about it a few times, there's a New Year's Day event here. And I've done that every year for the past several years, and it's a wonderful event because, again, it gets you out caching when otherwise you probably wouldn't.
Yeah, no, I think all those kind of things are great. And I know listener Wet Coaster talks about the Cache and Release winter event that they have up in Edmonton, Alberta, again, where it's just really, really cold. So it's a great way of just getting people to get out together and kick off the season.
Yeah, there's all kinds of these events. These games like this are much different than any of the other ones that I've ever been to, and I'd love to try something like this. Especially that Battle Cache really sounds like a lot of fun. I'd love to actually go to that event and see them plot out these ships and try to sink them.
That's pretty neat, yeah. All right, so another email that we got is from Dune Buddy. Dune Buddy says, because the internet is so unpredictable here, I downloaded an app on my iPad that allowed me to download the video versions of podcast files from YouTube's for later viewing. A few weeks ago, I started getting messages that YouTube no longer allowed downloads. So now my only option is to stream. Any solutions? Daryl, what can you share with us on that topic?
Well, this is kind of a strange one. There's been a lot of talk about YouTube's YouTube tubes. Now I'm doing it about YouTube actually including it in the mobile apps so that you could cache it for offline use. Because one of the big things that they've been concerned about is the people going on the planes and in subways and that kind of thing where you don't have it, and having to deal with the bandwidth issues. So they have been talking about it, but the only post that I was able to find when I looked for it was back in September of 2013, and I'll link to that in the show notes. So my guess is we're not going to be able to do that anytime in the near future, which makes me really, really sad. I was very excited because at one point they were even talking about part of the paid channel stuff being the ability to subscribe and auto download.
That would be handy.
So that would definitely fix this problem if they would roll it out to the not paid, because, quite frankly, I don't want to do this. I don't want to have to, turn this into a paid channel just so that people could download it.
Yeah, fair enough.
So, we don't know for sure what's happening with it, but at this point it looks like it's not going to happen, and there is no legitimate way to get the videos out of YouTube anymore, and it's too costly to set up a podcast stream with those downloads, so it's not going to be possible, shall we say.
Fair enough. Well, I guess that's the best answer we can give for now, but definitely a good question. Another question we have, and Daryl, I don't know who this one's from, but...
this is still from Dune Buddy.
Oh, it's from Dune Buddy still. Okay.
Yeah.
So Dune Buddy has another question for us. It says, I do a fair amount of international travel, and I'm too cheap to buy maps for my GPS for short trips. I get that. I can relate to that. OpenStreetMaps is a great source for free maps, which it is, for many of the countries where I travel. It takes a few steps to download the maps, load them into Basecamp, then onto my GPS, but it's worth it. Here are 3 sites that have a nice collection of US and international maps. And Dune Buddy, I am tripping over that one tonight. He gives us 3 links. Mapasalternativas.libres.es, which I'm going to assume is ES for España, and that's Spanish, given the rest of the URL. GPSFileDepot.com index.php. That one, Dune Buddy says, has a large variety of maps, including bike and hiking trails, pre-selected and ready for download. And then my favorite, which is Garmin.openstreetmap.nl in the Netherlands. That one, Dune Buddy shares with us, covers the entire world and allows you to select by country or individual tiles within zones, which is great. And that's my personal preference, is using that one. They're all good sites, but sometimes it's not even a question of being too cheap, but just leveraging the open source maps. They can make your caching life easier, especially, or since I'm filling some shoes, should I say especially, when you're traveling and using a smartphone for your geocaching. On a recent vacation, we used CGeo on our Android phone because the country we were going to did not actually allow you to bring a GPSR into their country. But they did allow smartphones, so there's a whole other topic for another episode. So using CGO on the Android phone with downloaded OSM maps and a preloaded pocket query for the area, it worked like a charm.
Excellent. Yeah, I do like those OSM maps, and many times I find that they're better than any of the preloaded maps. So I just think it's a better product in many cases, especially because they have those hiking and biking trails that you can't get on most of the commercial products, or if you do get them on the commercial products, they're nowhere close to accurate.
There's a lot to be said for the user community contributed trails to maps, and maybe just a quick segue on that. If you're in the Northwest or especially Southwest BC area and you go to our Metrovan geocaching website, we've got a discussion area where we're actually helping people contribute to OSM maps and the Northwest Trails project to add the trails that you're hiking on. So we're really a strong believer in that open community contributed content to the maps. Excellent.
And we are going to do another show on OpenStreetMaps, so stay tuned and we'll be doing a lot more on that. A couple of quick things from the live Q&A, though. Brad asked if path tags or easy tags, X tags, sorry, X tags are okay for the trade for my path tag, and yes, they are. Just let me know that you want to trade, and we'll go ahead and do that. And Limax said, "Sai, I'd love to make my own path tag." Well, please do, and please use that GeoGearHeads back so that we get a little bit more exposure. All right. Moving back on.
Well, I was just going to say, in response to Limax, we felt that way for a long time before we finally got ready and actually just went and made our own. And it can be daunting a little bit, but there's some great resources out there to help you out.
And it is a lot easier to do a path tag than it is a geocoin. And I started with the geocoins, and I still have a soft spot in my heart for those because, among other things, you're not limited to that round circle with a little hole in it.
Good point.
I've done a few of the shape coins, and I like those. They're fun to do. Yeah, but that makes them very hard to show off, though. Let's move on to something from Wet Coaster, and he wanted us to talk about this. Should challenge caches have their own icon? Their position is usually listed on the cache page, not hidden or spoofed like an unknown, but they have other requirements for logging and the cache on top of just finding it.
Right. I think most of your listeners are probably familiar with what we're talking about when we say challenge caches. It's a mystery cache, but it is, as Wet Coaster says, it's at the coordinates. And I get I get his line of thinking here, but I disagree with the premise of having its own icon. And here's my reasoning. With the new search tools and functionality, especially if challenge cache COs use things like Project GC, which on a recent episode of your show, you had the guy behind it, the brains behind it, and talked about almost this exact topic. If the COs are using those tools, it really should make the workflow for finding and assessing your requirements for challenge caches simple enough that I don't think you really need to have a unique icon on the map. And honestly, creating yet another icon is just going to make the maps busier than they already are, in my eyes. Now, that's my opinion. Daryl, what do you think?
I don't disagree with anything you said, except that I think we're thinking of it as being the connected world that we have right now. You know, we're so used to being online with the smartphones, being able to jump onto a computer at the local coffee shop or when you get back to the hotel. But what when you go to some of these countries that don't have that access, or if you're out hiking in the backcountry and you've just downloaded the Pocket Query and that's all you have? So I do see the motivation to actually list these with a separate icon so that it would be easier to filter them out of the Pocket Queries and easier to know when you're out there in the field, in the car, on the plane, whatever, where you might not have that access to go and check something, to know that this is at this location and that's what this is. Right now, people are going to be just probably filtering out all of the unknown cache types, assuming that it's going to take more work than they can afford to do during a quick, caches along a route type of thing. But if I had the ability to do just the challenge caches in the Pocket Query, then I could go and use something like Project GC to find if I qualify for it. So yeah, I see it both ways. Personally, though, I'm not sure that I really want to see another icon on there. I would like to see an attribute, though. I think that's going to be the safer, easier way to do this. Rather than creating another icon, just have an attribute that you can then filter on. So you can say in your Pocket Query, show me any unknown caches that are challenges only, or don't show me challenges if that's what you're looking for.
All right. Yep. I see where you're going with that. I think that makes sense. And if that's Wet Coaster's line of thinking, which maybe that is, all right, I can see that argument. That would be handy. All right. Now this next one, Daryl, is this, I'm looking at the name, if it's the person I think it is, we're talking about Banana Sauce?
Yes, yeah, he's going by OBeep now on geocaching.com, though.
Oh, is he? I hadn't noticed that. Okay.
Yes, he's changed his name.
He's getting tired of the banana references?
Well, I think he changed it to Oh Beep before he became Banana Sauce, because that's the name of the show. So he wanted to have his geocaching name match the name of the show.
Makes sense.
But
right.
before we move on,
Yes.
we did get a comment from Bob in the live Q&A that he also likes that attribute idea.
Excellent. Yeah, I think that's, you know what, that's maybe the easiest way to do it. That's a great idea. All right, let's write a letter to geocaching.com, everybody. All right, so Mark, Banana Sauce, Obeep, he says via Facebook, what is the one feature on your preferred geocaching site that you would not be without? And how did it change the game for you when it was introduced? Interesting question.
Yeah, for me, I think I'm going to go for pocket queries, because I started out, early on, over or nearly 10 years ago. It will be 10 years in August, actually, as just a standard member with, downloading caches one by one into my GPS. And then when I got pocket queries as a premium member, that's when I started to get into the paperless caching, and I went from doing a few caches a day, I'd say maybe 4 or 5 caches, to being able to do 11 caches in a couple of hours. So that's what really changed geocaching for me, and that's the thing that I don't think I could do without, because even in the smartphone era, I'm still doing pocket queries most of the time just so that I can cache that information from the geocaching site into the phone, so I don't have to worry about waiting for downloads. How about you, Land Monkey? What is your thought?
Well, I hadn't thought about that from that angle, and I would totally agree with you. I think pocket queries are probably the number one time-saving innovation on the site. But what I also threw out there was something I mentioned earlier, the cache placement creation tools on geocaching.com. I find them invaluable, and when they made the last major upgrade to them about a year ago, it made the process significantly simpler. And it allowed the ability to quickly assess the viability of your selected ground zero location, of course with the exception of mystery, multi, or where I go finals. Now, if they'd only get the WYSIWYG editor for editing those cache pages once you've done your first go through on them, but otherwise, pretty good.
Yeah, we were talking about the editor munging your HTML.
Yeah.
I think that's why they don't have that WYSIWYG editor in there.
Okay.
So, I think it'd be nice to have the option to turn it on or off, but at this point, I'm thinking that it's more of a liability, hence why we don't have it in there.
Right, for a lot of those puzzle caches. Makes sense.
All right, we do have one last live Q&A comment, which is that Limex, Pocket Queries was the one reason that I became a premium member, and I became one over a month before I even found my first cache.
Wow.
That's intense. A month. He signed up for a $30 a year membership to not find a cache for a year or for a month. Yeah, I think that would definitely motivate me to go out and cache, though.
Yeah, that's a valid point. That's good, though, Limax. Way to go, man. Way to support that.
Excellent one. All right, now we do have to get this live winner picked, and I find it ironic that the answer to the question was 9, and we had 9 entries into the drawing, and oh man, well, this is ironic. Limax is actually the winner of the 3-month trial subscription, so congratulations, Limax. I will send this to you, but he says, the next digit of pi after 15 is 9. My 8th grade math teacher had us memorize it to 20 digits, and he promised to teach us to 100, but never got around to it. I still have it memorized. 3.141592653589793233846.
Wow.
I think he earned it.
Yeah, I think he earned it too. And what I think this really goes to show all the listeners of this podcast is A, listen live because you'll win a prize, and B, if you do listen live, get the last question in, because apparently that's how you win.
No, he was not the last one. He was the 3rd from last entry.
Okay, but
yeah,
the last
that's
question in
pretty
the
cool.
Q&A.
Oh, this is true. This is true. Yeah, participate in the live Q&A, and that definitely seems to improve your chances, though I don't have a clue how. But that's
Might
going
be
to do it
Google.
for this. We do have a bunch of extra stuff, including posts from Peanuts and Pretzels that they thought we might be interested in mentioning. We're going to talk a little bit about new Google stuffs and some kind of troubling stuff in the world of online news. So that's all coming up in the patron-only show. Thanks again, patrons, for supporting us. We really appreciate it. It's what keeps us going. We are planning on doing another patron hangout before the end of the month, but I'm not sure we're going to be able to do that. Nothing else. We promise we're going to do one next month. Maybe even two. We'll have to see about doing that, kind of make up for some stuff. But our patrons get all of that extra bonus content. Like every time we do a randomize, we have these. We're doing some picks every month. So if you can even spare a few bucks a month and you think this show is worth it, head over to patreon.com and check it out and see if you can support the show. We do have links to that on our cash page, or on our web page. So just hit the Patreon link from there and it will take you right to our campaign. And we have a whole bunch of great shows coming up. Next week, March 19th, we're going to have Dave DeBear join us once again, and we're going to be talking about attending mega events. The following week, we're going to be talking about a specific mega event that hopes to be Giga for episode 169, Geo Woodstock 13. We've got a couple of committees members to talk about that event. Now, the one that I'm actually kind of interested in is our April 2nd show, Foolish Cachers. So here's what we need from you guys is your stories of the dumb things that you've done. You can even send us stories from your caching buddies, as long as you witnessed it. And maybe in that case you don't want to say who it is. But we'd love for you to call those into the voicemail line at 206-350-3647 or email GeoGearHeads@CacheManiacs.com with those stories so we can talk about it. And we're looking for, what are some of those mistakes that you've made so that we can avoid making them again ourselves.
Daryl, can I just point you to my YouTube channel and be automatically entered?
Well, no, this is not a contest. We're just looking for the stories to talk about on that show because we've all done some stupid things.
And some of us video record them and put them on YouTube. Yes.
Yeah, which is that much more entertaining. Okay, so the week after that, we're going to have Puzzler26 joining me live in studio. He's a Metro Detroit hider who's got some really amazing hides. Definitely worth checking out that one. Then on April 16th, we're going to be talking with Subway Mark again about geocaching using mass transit. So this is one that I've played with a couple of times. I'm really anxious to get into it a little bit more because it's a great way to go for hitting those caches when you're on vacation.
Excellent. Well, seeing as I'm still in these ill-fitting bad cop shoes, I now have the pleasure of sharing the question for next week's giveaway from coinsandpins.com. So get that email ready and address it to GeoGearHeads@CacheManiacs.com with the subject question 168. In the body of your email, include your geocaching.com screen name and tell us what the minimum number of people required to log an event for it to achieve mega status on geocaching.com is. So we're looking for how many people need to log an event in order for that event to be mega status. Have that correct answer with your geocaching.com screen name to geogearheads@cachemaniacs.com by March 18th at 6 p.m. Pacific Daylight Savings Time. That's 9 p.m. Eastern, or March 19th at 1 a.m. UTC. And your name will be entered into the drawing for that prize from coinsandpins.com.
Check the Cachemaniac website at cachemaniacs.com for more on the GeoGearHeads, including show notes for this and all our episodes. We love hearing from our listeners, so leave us feedback by calling 206-350-3647, by emailing geogearheads@cachemaniacs.com, or through social media. Your support helps keep the Cachemaniac shows coming. Please consider becoming a patron through the link on our website to support the Cachemaniac shows. GeoGearHeads is produced by Krent Stoffenauer and Daryl Wadenberg. This show is copyright 2015 by Daryl Wadenberg. All rights reserved.
Social media.